In 1952, Florence Chadwick attempted to swim 26 miles between the Catalina Islands and the California coastline. Now, as she's 15 hours into her swim, this thick fog began to roll in. She grew tired and she only swam for about an hour more through the fog until she had to get pulled up. She couldn't go anymore. And as she sat on the boat next to her mother, her heart just dropped. Because as she looked up, the fog began to dissipate and she realized that she stopped only 1 mile away from her destination. Have you ever felt like you were swimming through a fog? Like you were painfully swimming without an end in sight? In times like this, it can be very easy, like Florence, to just want to give up. You see, the Apostle Paul, he's one of the main contributors to our New Testament. He relates to this struggle in some of his writings. He struggled with depression, loneliness, persecution. He was shipwrecked, bitten by a snake, stoned, flogged, and had to deal with the guilt of killing innocent Christians. In our scripture today, we can get a good sense of the pain he might have been through. In 2 Corinthians 8 through 9, Paul writes, "We are pressured in every way, but not crushed. We are perplexed in every way, but not in despair. We are persecuted, but not abandoned. And we are struck down, but not destroyed." Paul here is swimming through the fog. He's on the verge of spiritually, mentally, and even physically giving in. But you see, there's something that keeps Paul going. There's something that allows him to press on. Because you see, Paul sees life differently than most people do. He has something very specific in his sights. If we continue on reading Corinthians, in verses 16 and 18, Paul writes about why he keeps on going. He writes, "Therefore we do not give up. Even though our outer person is being destroyed, our inner person is being renewed day by day. For our momentary affliction is producing for us an absolutely incomparable eternal weight of glory. So we do not focus on what is seen, but what is unseen. For what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen lasts forever." You see, Paul has a hope in mind. Paul realizes that there's no affliction that can stop him from receiving God's glory. He has this mindset because Paul knows how momentary this life is compared to what's on the other side. So I don't know what kind of fog you might be going through today. Maybe you're like Paul and you feel like nothing's going right in your life right now. Maybe you lost your money or your family. Maybe you lost your friends. Or maybe your health is just really bad right now. Maybe you want to give up on living like Christ. It's just too hard to forgive that person. It's too hard to love my enemies. It's too hard to stay pure in this impure world. I can't live like Christ. Or maybe the fog is that you just can't see the point in getting up out of bed in the morning because you just don't see a purpose in this life anymore. But whatever the fog might be, whatever it is, when we keep Jesus in sight, we can push through the fog. And I'm not trying to tell you today that if we just keep Jesus in our sights, all of our problems will go away. Because that's just not what Paul is saying here. That's not biblical. In fact, sometimes following Jesus makes our lives even more difficult. But I want you to know, and I want you to know this, that when we have Jesus in our sight, we don't view the fog the same anymore. We know that the battle's already won through the resurrection, and that should give us hope. So do you remember the story about Florence I started with? Well, 2 months later, Florence tried again, and the same thick fog set in, but this time she reached her destination. And when she was asked how she did it, she said that she kept a mental image of the shoreline the entire time while she swam. She later swam the channel on 2 additional occasions, 2 more times. So when the fog rolls in your life, like Florence, like Paul, keep a mental image of your destination. Because when we keep Jesus in our sight, we can make it through any fog.